Alright, it's me again, Orcs. Where we last left off, Deku was stabbed. The Deku was stabbed. Delta's offline right now, you could say. And the other AR are pretty much... The body is exhausted, being punched through a building, and having to fight several villains all at once while keeping the energy shield up. Theta thankfully can keep that energy shield up for a longer period of time, but Sigma and Delta are kind of worn down, so, you know, Omega, as the body literally just falls over and they're rushed off. As when they're rushing them, like, up the stairs, like, that's when the other heroes arrive, as they pretty much, like, several people are carrying them. All Might's not carrying them, like Aizawa, Carolina, Kirishima. They're like, let's go, 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 go. As they're carrying him up, the whole door explodes again. As then it's like, move, move, move. As all the teachers just look over and they see Deku just like on the gurney. Several stab wounds, the axe and the knife in his body. As, like I said, they see multiple entry wounds where his suit has been torn, punctured through, and etc. And his breastplate is like cracked, like it's to the point of falling apart. And they're like, do we still got him? As a few of the other teachers like start freaking out, and they start getting to work. Kurogiri and them have already been evacuated. And as with that being said, Carolina, I'll say, is the one to actually see All Might in his weakened form, as she tried to jump over and like help All Might. Had the thing coming along until they got shot at by Snipe, and then after that, that's when Carolina went over to help him. Cementos then put up a shield and yada yada yada. As he's pretty much put on a ambulance, I believe, or like a transport, whatever they use to get there. Put him in there, shut the door, and then they just started driving off to UA. As it's just like, as they're putting the pedal to the metal, as it's like, is he still alive? It's like, I don't know. Like, he has a pulse, but he isn't responding. It's like, well, of course he isn't responding. As I was always like, calm down, you two. As it's like, alright. As when they finally, like, get to UA, as Recovery Girl's, like, standing right there, ready to receive anyone. They pick up Deku, and they still haven't removed the axe and stuff, which is probably a good idea. As they put him on some gurney, waiting there, as Nezu radioed, or someone called up ahead saying they got severely injured students heading your way. As then Recovery Girl and her assistant, Doc, yes. And she's like, so am I finally, like, she's like, yes, this will be your first time actually helping me with someone, aside from just like helping reset bones and such. He's like, oh goody. As then he's brought on, and it's like, oh, as it's like, as the personality switches, it looks like he got caught up quite a bit. It's like, shut up, O'Malley. And it's like, shut up, Doc, make me. As it's like, no time for your split personality bullshit, get the kid out of here. As they're rushing him to emergency room or whatever. They're going up and down, and then they finally get him in there. They start taking off his armor and such. As they see underneath, he has no wounds besides like those two that they can see. So they immediately start doing like scans and such. And Doc's quirk is split personality. But the thing is like each one's, like, Doc is very good when it comes to healing things. And and O'Malley, which is what I'll be calling him, is very good at making things hurt. Sort of like that. So as they're like, as Doc's like, so what are we gonna do? Well, first we gotta see like what's wrong with him. As when they look inside, Delta couldn't repair everything. A few ribs. Oh, sorry. The knife had actually pretty much sort of gotten into a few of the ribs as it was put in there. It stabbed a few of the organs, and a few organs are still kind of messed up from when he was punched through the buildings. One of his legs seemed to be, some of the bones in his legs seemed to be cracked. Same thing in his arm, and as they have him in surgery, like I said, he goes under. Well, technically he's already under. All the AFI are passed out. So with that being said, they continue forward with Recovery Girl fixing him up and Doc right there helping her out. With that being said, as they had to like take all his Kiro gear off pretty much to like get under there to see what needs fixing. Because Recovery Girl could just use her quirk, but she needs to remove the knife very carefully. Like, very carefully. It's resting on some important stuff. And the axe, well, she's got to reattach the arm the old-fashioned way. Now, it ain't like hanging off by a thread, but it got down pretty good. So, as he's being fixed up, everyone else in UA is like, well, in the 1A course, several of the ones that were with 13 are like, Jesus, did you see what happened to Deku? Like, yeah, he's insane. And Carolina, as they like talked with Carolina and them for a bit, you guys did good though. Like, Suyu said that she didn't really do anything, that she just really hid for a while, and that Carolina was the one mainly doing stuff. Carolina says, well, I'm still worried about Deku. He literally was hit through a building. Bakugo says that damn nerd by this point can survive anything. Well, actually, I forgot Carolina isn't there. Bakugo is the one who really says that damn nerd can survive anything that is thrown at him. So, with that being said, stop it. That being said, everyone's being taken care of there. No one else really saw anything there. So as Deku, quote unquote, is asleep, they're looking over him and they turn on something to get the brainwaves, as instead of just seeing one thing of a brainwave, I forget how all that works sometimes, but I'll just say they have technology that will allow them to see multiple things, as that's how they got, like, figured out Doc's quirk and his multiple personality thing. As Recovery Girl flips it on to see if there's actually any brain activity, she sees, like, 1, 2, they see 5 things of brain activity. Well, 6, technically. As they're like, this can't be right. As Omega's like, what? Well, not Omega, but Doc or O'Malley, whichever one you prefer. It says his brain waves. It says there's like 4 people in there, or 6 people in there. Doc's like, ooh, a new record holder. And it's like, that can't be right. So as she's like messing with the machine, as then Nezu, after all that got settled, comes in. How's the patient doing? As she's like, I think this thing's busted. As it's like, it's showing 6 patterns of brain waves. As Nezu's like, maybe not. As he's like, 6 patterns, does he have multiple personality? As his brain is zipping across the entire situation thing. As he starts looking back on all the facts, he starts remembering like everything that he looked into Deku to understand why is he so powerful more than he was before. As it's like traumatic experience, has encounter with All Might, traumatic, another, something followed after that, another traumatic experience. Entire lifehood was bullied, as it said in the reports, as I don't believe for a second nobody knew about Bakugo's bullying and everyone targeting Deku. That is dumbest thing ever. There's no way nobody knew. As then it's like, years and years, and then finally breaking point, and then it like hits him. Recovery girl, I would ask you to leave for a second. Well, not recovery girl, but Doc, as it's like Mr. O'Malley or Doc, whichever one it is. It's O'Malley. Would you please leave for a second? No. As it's like, this ain't a question. This is a command. Leave, Doc. As it's like, oh, fine. I'll go mess with some other people then. As it's like, no, we won't. We'll go bake bread. No. As then, recovery girl is like, what's wrong? I believe Mr. Midoriya's mind here is broken, in a way. As Nezu's big brain mind figured it out. As then they pretty much, as he starts speaking, hello, Mr. Midoriya. From this machine here says you have multiple brain waves, as all of them, like Gamma, like comes out trying to like deceive him. He's like, no, can't do. I'm afraid that isn't how this works. Now, you either give us the full truth, or but I'm sorry, but since you lied on your report, saying that this was your quirk, we may have to expel you, as Sigma, Omega, and Theta are all like, no. As in the four of them come out. Yeah, four. It's like, where are the other two? Other two. There's one other, that's Delta. As Theta says. As Omega's like, don't tell this weird mouse thing anything. As it's like, where's Delta? He pushed the healing ability too far. And he's in stasis, or lockdown mode, you could say. Alright. Well, by this machine, it says there's another person in there. So would you mind rooting it around for him? As it's like, we haven't heard of anyone else aside from the five of us. As Thea's like, alright, I'll go see, as it goes back into Deku's head. As the rest of the AI or FI are just standing around just like, so... As Gamma's like, anyone want to hear a joke? The two, not Theta, but Omega and Sigma are like, no. Forgive me, Gamma, as Sigma says, this is not the time for you to... Sorry. This is not the time for you to be telling jokes. This is a serious situation. Fine. As he just waits over looking at everything. As Theta comes back out, I couldn't find anyone else. Like, I tried to go as deep as possible, but I got stuck. As it's like... Nezu says, oh, never mind that. So, would you care to explain? As then they give an explanation. Explain the scenario and everything that they know about Deku's situation. As they do not know everything, so yeah. As Delta knew a lot more since he looked more into it. So, as he's like, then we shall wait for him to reappear. As then, several hours later after Nezu had left to go address some things, as they're like, as all the AI are just hanging around outside, as Caboose actually heard about it, and through other people, as he was talking with Doc, like, yeah, this really big guy in like white armor came around, he seemed really hurt. As then Caboose is like, Deku? As is like, yeah, well, yeah, that's his name. As then he immediately, Caboose actually wanted to go see his friend as he walked there pretty much, as everything in UA was kind of being locked down. So as he got into the recovery room, it's like, Caboose, what are you doing here? As he's like, well, I heard that as the AI are just talking around Deku's head, as it's like, hello. As it's like, oh, Caboose. As Theta comes from like flying at Caboose's head, oh, hello, Deku. Like, as the rest of them like appear before Caboose, as it's like, oh, fiery Deku, black Deku, purple Deku, and turquoise Deku. It's like, I'm confused. As in Theta, well, not Theta, I'll say at this point Delta recovers, as it's like, oh, green Deku. It's like, hello, Caboose. As he's like, why are all you out? Why are there so many of you? As he's like, if you wish, Caboose, I can tell you all the details, but right now, I wish to, as Recovery Girl's like, Nezu will be here in a minute. I just recalled him that you finally reappeared. Sorry? Oh my. As Delta's like, alright then. As he has Caboose sit down and explains the situation to him, seeing Caboose as somewhat of a friend. And as he explains their situation, Caboose is like, oh, that's neat and cool. As he's like, so what are your names? As then he goes off listing names: Delta, Sigma, Gamma, Omega, Theta. As he's like, okay. Sorry. As then, with all that being explained, Nezu eventually comes out, and then Delta explains the situation, all the history that he knows to him. As with that being said and done, Nezu's like, very well. We will discuss what to do later. As he's like, right now, just rest. As he's like, since I am awake now, I could easily repair any of the damage Recovery Girl may have missed. As Recovery Girl's like, excuse me? As Delta's like, it's no offense, but I can feel through the human body much better than any machine. As he goes through the body, it's like a few little lacerations, but that is about all. Good job, good work, Recovery Girl. And she's like, well, thank you. As then he grows a sudden green light, as Delta's like, that's all about I can do for right now. As it's like, we need to rest. As it's like, okay. As everyone in 1A, well, even All Might is transferred there eventually. As in with the rest of the AI talking around Deku, as all the AI see All Might get rolled in, the conversation stops. As the rest of the AI begin talking in their like little inner circle. Or not AI but FI. It's confusing. Sorry. As then the situation explains to All Might, as he's like, oh shit. I think I already explained how that works. I believe so. When they met up with All Might. But he has a flashback to everything, and he feels immensely guilty for it. As with that being said, the AI or FI just completely ignore All Might and return to their conversations. As then eventually they're cleared to go, being seen as in tip-top shape. As when they leave, All Might says he's sorry, but Omega says, we do not want your apology. As then Delta says, and Omega, we thank him. Thank you. Saving our asses. This is a one-time deal though. As then they disappear again. As when the thing is being reported to All For One, explaining the details on how a kid kept on regenerating from any sort of attack. They threw him through several buildings. He was shot. He was stabbed, slashed, and everything. Even burned. But he just continued to heal. As All For One's like, maybe I could use this quirk. As then he's like, next time you get the chance, bring them to me, Shigaraki. As it's like, yes, master. As for the rest of you, as everyone else is like in a medical center. As it's like, your injury will be seen to by my doctor. As then the muscle guy's arm is like, damn it. As it's like, don't worry, muscle man. We'll get the guy. We'll get that stupid kid. As he's like, oh, fine. Ow. Stop that. As then they all like pass out. Eventually, Deku returns home after the entire situation, and he reunites with Inko after the situation on school has been broadcasted. He goes and lays down on the couch while the AI just mess around the home. As Sigma turns on, not Sigma, but Theta turns on the TV and starts watching cartoons. Inko, I would say, has a part-time job. She's like a hostess, I believe is the word, like where they like sit people down at chairs and such. I believe that's what they do. As she returns home, she's like, "Oh, I heard." As she like was worried sick, she got home and the AI are just doing what they do. Delta's doing research. Omega's just, as the AI FI are all just sitting down watching TV and using the body as like somewhat of a cushion. It's pretty hilarious. As she's like, "Are you guys okay?" As they're like, "We are fine, Inko. We did not receive too much damage." Anyways, as she like goes and like hugs the body, it's all said and done. As then they go to sleep and they have the few weeks off, or it's like a week off. Anyways, I hope you all have enjoyed this. Hope you all continue to enjoy this, and I hope you all have a nice day, nice night, nice life.